I was really hoping for a better outcome. I was really hoping that the stories we were told were true, but unfortunately we got the worst news in the world, and we want answers. We want to know what happened. We want justice to be served.
18-year-old Giovanni Pelletier is spending the summer in Florida. He had traveled down from North Carolina, expecting nothing more than time with family. Just after 1:30 a.m., 3 cousins pull up to pick him up. Cousins from his father's side, people Giovanni had never met before this night. He climbs into the car, not knowing it will be the last ride of his life. Less than half an hour later, Giovanni reaches for his phone. His mother, hundreds of miles away, receives a chilling message. 2 words: Mom, help. It is the final contact Giovanni will ever make. Moments later, he vanishes into the night. If you're searching for answers, for truth, and for justice, you've come to the right place. This is Detective Daniel Files. Let's begin.
There's no one in this area with Giovanni. There's no one that's chasing him. He's by himself. Now, what we don't know is what happened when he hit that pond. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. The death is undetermined.
Early hours of August 1st, before the night is over, something happens that will change everything. The cousins later claim Giovanni began acting strangely. They say he was restless, erratic. At one point they insist he even pulled out a knife. Minutes later, they say Giovanni jumped out of the vehicle near State Road 70 in Manatee County. In the middle of the night, on a dark stretch of road, Giovanni disappeared into the shadows. Not long after, his belongings are discovered. His backpack and phone, left abandoned on the roadside. His lifeline, his only way to reach his mother, gone. The items are eventually picked up by a passing truck driver. For investigators, it is the only physical trace of Giovanni left behind. But for his family, the story doesn't make sense. Why would he suddenly act out? Why would he abandon his phone, the very device he had just used to send his desperate plea for help? The cousins' explanation feels incomplete. Their accounts shift. Small details change. For Giovanni's loved ones, suspicion grows. That final text, Mom, help, becomes the most haunting piece of evidence. The words echo in his mother's mind, over and over. It is the only thing she has left. Proof that Giovanni was in danger. Proof that something was terribly wrong. And proof that her son's story is far from simple. Every time we share these stories, it reminds us how important community truly is. None of us are alone in this fight for truth and justice. So, if you're watching right now, take a moment and tell me your name and where you're watching from. Because behind every screen, there's a voice, there's a heart, there's someone who cares enough to stop and listen. And together, those voices matter. Drop your name and location in the comments below. Let Giovanni's family, and every family still searching for answers, see how far this message reaches. The morning of August 1st, 2025, turns into a day of panic. Giovanni's last message is still fresh on his mother's phone, but there is no sign of him. Hours stretch into the afternoon, then into the night. Giovanni never comes home. By August 2nd, the family can't wait any longer. They begin calling police, demanding a search, but they quickly realize the investigation isn't moving fast enough. Different counties are involved, and no one seems to be taking full control. So the family takes matters into their own hands. They organize search parties. Friends, neighbors, and volunteers gather, combing through back roads and wooded areas near Bradenton. Some bring dogs. Others pass out flyers with Giovanni's picture. His face is now everywhere, a smiling 18-year-old, missing without explanation. The days pass slowly, filled with dread. By the end of the first week, Giovanni's mother grows desperate. She creates a GoFundMe page, pleading for help. The response is immediate. In just days, the campaign raises tens of thousands of dollars, enough to cover search expenses, legal support, and private investigators if needed. But even with resources, the answers don't come. Local law enforcement continues to gather statements from the cousins who last saw Giovanni. Their stories don't line up. At first, they claim Giovanni simply jumped out of the car. Later, they add new details about erratic behavior, about a knife, about him running off on his own. Each time the story changes, Giovanni's family grows more certain. Something isn't right. His mother begins to speak publicly. She questions the investigation, calling for more urgency. She reminds everyone of the text. Mom, help. The words that prove Giovanni didn't just run away. The community rallies behind her. Candlelight vigils are held. Volunteers continue to search open fields, retention ponds, and wooded trails. Still, Giovanni is nowhere to be found. Behind the scenes, frustration builds. The family believes precious time has been wasted. They worry that investigators aren't treating the case with the seriousness it deserves. By the end of the first week, a petition is launched, calling for the FBI to step in. Hundreds of signatures pour in, then thousands. People across the country share Giovanni's story online, demanding accountability. But as the search stretches into the second week, hope begins to fade. The family clings to the belief that Giovanni is alive, somewhere, waiting to be found. But each day without him feels heavier than the last. And in their hearts, one question refuses to go away. If Giovanni really did leave that car on his own, then where did he go? And why hasn't anyone seen him since? August 8th, 2025. 7 long days have passed since Giovanni sent his final message. 7 days of searching, pleading, and waiting for answers. That morning, the search takes a devastating turn. Near I-75 and State Road 70 in Manatee County, just miles from where Giovanni was last seen, a family friend looks toward a retention pond. Floating near the surface, they see what investigators had not found all week. A body. Already decomposing. The call is made. Then the family rushes to the scene. It is not law enforcement who makes the discovery. It is Giovanni's loved ones themselves. They are forced to see what no parent should ever have to see. The missing boy they prayed to find alive, now gone. For his mother, the heartbreak is indescribable. For a week she held on to hope that Giovanni's message meant there was still time to save him. Now that hope is gone. The pond becomes the place where every question converges. How did Giovanni end up here? Why did no one find him sooner? And why did it take his own family to uncover the truth? Authorities arrive to recover the body. The medical examiner confirms what the family already knows in their hearts. The missing 18-year-old is Giovanni Pelletier. The pain is heavy with grief. Friends and relatives gather near the pond, clinging to one another, shattered by the reality before them. Giovanni's final words, "Mom, help," now carry even more weight. They are no longer a call for rescue, but a haunting reminder of a life cut short. The heartbreak is overwhelming. The days after August 8, 2025 are filled with grief and questions. Giovanni's body is taken to the medical examiner's office, but because of the state of decomposition, answers do not come quickly. Examiners search for signs of trauma, but there are none. No obvious injuries. No evidence of violence that can be seen with the eye. Still, the cause of death is unclear. Toxicology tests are ordered. Forensic analysis begins. Each test will take weeks, maybe longer. For Giovanni's family, the waiting is unbearable. They have already lived through 7 agonizing days of searching. Now they must endure more silence. In the absence of answers, frustration grows. His mother asks the questions out loud, questions no one in authority seems willing to answer. Why did it take so long to find him? Why was it his family, and not law enforcement, who made the discovery? Could Giovanni have been saved if the search had been faster, stronger, more urgent? To the family, it feels like precious time was wasted. And now, that time cannot be given back. The community rallies again. Vigils continue. Support pours in from across the country, but none of it fills the emptiness left behind. Giovanni's case now rests in the hands of investigators and medical examiners. But for his loved ones, the truth feels just out of reach. They are left with heartbreak, with anger, and with the haunting thought that more could have been done to save him. In the weeks following Giovanni's discovery, the investigation stalls. Toxicology reports are still pending. Forensics move slowly. Answers remain out of reach. But Giovanni's family refuses to stay silent. They begin pushing for the FBI to take over the case. To them, the inconsistencies, the delays, and the unanswered questions demand more than a local investigation. A petition is launched. Within days, signatures climb into the thousands. Strangers from across the country add their names, urging federal involvement. The story spreads online. News outlets pick it up. Giovanni's name reaches beyond Florida, beyond North Carolina. His face, once only on missing posters, is now on national headlines. Community support grows. People demand accountability. They demand action. For Giovanni's mother, the message never changes. It is the same plea she has carried since the first night her phone lit up with those final words. "Mom, help." Now she asks the same of investigators, of the public, of anyone who will listen. What really happened to Giovanni? The investigation continues, but the truth feels further away than ever. Giovanni's final text remains at the center of everything. 2 words that raise more questions than they answer. Why did he send it? What danger was he in at that exact moment? The cousin's version of events only deepens the mystery. Their story shifts. Small details adjusted. Explanations altered. Each retelling leaves Giovanni's family with less clarity, not more. And then there is the discovery itself. It was not deputies, not search teams, but loved ones who found him in the water. How could investigators have missed what was right there, only miles from the spot he vanished? These questions echo louder with each passing day. The community demands explanation. Giovanni's mother demands the truth. But the silence from officials is deafening. Every gap in the story, every inconsistency, keeps the family awake at night. Until those questions are answered, there can be no peace. Giovanni Pelletier was only 18 years old. A son, a brother, a friend. A young man with dreams ahead of him, gone before his life could truly begin. His family refuses to let his story end at the edge of that pond. They continue to fight for answers, determined that his case will not be forgotten. Community voices rise with them, petitions grow, support spreads beyond state lines. What happened to Giovanni becomes more than a local tragedy. It becomes a call for justice. And through it all, one message remains, the last words he ever sent. "Mom, help." A cry that still echoes. A reminder that Giovanni's story is unfinished. For his mother, those words are both heartbreaking and powerful. They are proof that her son mattered, that his voice must still be heard. Giovanni's case is far from closed. The investigation continues. But for the people who loved him, his legacy lives on, in their fight for truth, in their demand for justice, and in their promise to never let his name fade away.